According to the Bible, man's history began with two perfect adults in the Garden of Eden. As God in creation sped up the growth of vegetations and plants in the course of a day and filled the land, seas, and air with creatures already developed for reproduction, so God created Adam and Eve as already mature human beings, both physical and spiritual. For sure, they are to perpetuate their growth, but they already have gone past, or in their case, never gone through, the states of infancy and childhood. Let's take some instructions on adulthood from the garden and see if we're messing #adulting up. We can be sure that God not only made Adam and Eve fertile and fully grown in terms of their bodily features, but that they are also possessed of a degree of maturity in their character to bear serious responsibilities. After all, God placed this first couple in the position of authority over nothing less than the rest of God's earthly creation. They were also tasked to fill the earth with their offspring, with the two of them functioning as the archetypal human beings. Such responsibilities require remarkable maturity of character. We can infer from this that the ability to bear responsibilities is one of the hallmarks of true adulting. Unfortunately, there are many things in our culture that discourage responsibility and consequently damage adulthood. Let us look at some of this. Overprotective parenting. Ideas of what good parenting should be now lay more emphasis on protective duties becoming overprotective. This is at the expense of nurturing the children's character to encourage gradual, responsible independence. As a consequence, we have raised what Albert Mohler calls a cuddled generation who cannot cope. Taking his cue from a surprising article from Psychology Today, he said, "Today's parents are now spending a great deal of their time doing little more than protecting their children from life. The result of all this? Our kids are growing up to be pampered whips who are incapable of assuming adult responsibility and have no idea how to handle the routine challenges of life. Parental independence is the prerequisite of many adult responsibilities. For example, marriage and building a stable family. The author of Genesis appended to the narrative of creation of man and woman, "Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife." Now, this is not exclusive to taking up of marital roles, and the responsibility in view extends beyond the capacity for material provisions. Adulting requires the capacity to think for oneself, to make own moral judgments, to face life challenges with one's own inner resources, to own up one's mistakes, among others. This does not equate with renouncing of parental heritage and counsels, but a good parenting must promote the gradual release of dependency with the ongoing successes of the nurture of their children's talents and characters. Studies suggest that the incapacity for responsibility that results from the weakness of character is one major factor contributing to the rampant depression among the youth of today. Untrained to face the challenges of the adult world, they resort to escapist responses that confound their problems until they are so overwhelmed they can only cower on their beds like their fetal position when they were yet in their mother's wombs. They run to safe spaces, protesting anything that hurts even remotely as microaggression. Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt wrote about this condition in a book entitled The Cuddling of the American Mind. A portion reads, "A culture that allows the concept of safety to creep so far that it equates emotional discomfort with physical danger is a culture that encourages people to systematically protect one another from the very experiences embedded in daily life that they need in order to become strong and healthy." Now, this is not a condemnation but an attempt to an honest diagnosis. They need sympathy, but sympathy alone won't help. In fact, it may make matters worse. They need doses of reality, most of all, the reality that life is a challenge and there is suffering in the world. You can stay a victim, begging for pity and affirmation, Or you can take responsibility for your life and make it become more bearable for yourself and for others, and perhaps one day, as you toughen yourself sufficiently, be able to contribute something meaningful to the world. Victimization. After the fall of man also did start the game of victimization, the opposite of responsibility. What's an evil snake doing in the garden? My environment is to blame. My wife is faulty. That other person is to blame. Didn't you, God, give her to me? It's my nurture that's to blame. Today, who you are is the result of your genes, society, or parenting. This is the new play in the court. Prove that the accused is actually a victim and you acquit a criminal. D.A. Carson observes, Western societies, especially America, having sacrificed the notion of human accountability, foster a culture of victimization. In the words of the old Anna Russell song, "But I am happy, I have learned the lesson this has taught, that everything I do that's wrong is someone else's fault." Victimization is a growth industry. Thousands of lawyers can't be wrong. But true adults are responsible. They own up to their mistakes. They use their pain and suffering as far as the recesses of human strength allows, not for entitlement, but to strengthen themselves and promote their growth. They deal with the snakes in the garden. They leave their fathers and their mothers, no longer blaming them for who they have become.